Okay. Awesome. So I can't have my Facebook up because it's an echo. So we are live. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this evening. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties. This is what is so much fun learning. Yeah, I love technology. So again, I appreciate you joining us tonight live. My name is Nadine Machkovech. I am the Executive Director of Rise Together. I was recently voted in as Executive Director, and it is an honor to be able to step into this position. And with that, one of the first things that I wanted to do stepping in was to reignite and re-engage our community. I thought, what better way than to bring together some awesome thought leaders and change makers from across the country to share a little bit about their stories, share about how they have faced adversity over this last year, and in the process, how they have been able to remain resilient. And I thought sharing some practical tools and tips with all of you on some of those things tonight would be beneficial for not only us as a community, but I think for us to learn and also go back and share with people in our families. And so again, I appreciate you all jumping on. Oh wow, nice. Well, that's a whole studio back there. So I thought, what better way to kick this off than to invite Mr. Joseph Green. This is the lovely thing that we are able to do when we're able to work from our homes virtually. So I just appreciate Joseph coming to you all live all the way from Washington, D.C. to share a little bit about his story, to talk a little bit about creative mindfulness and ways and how he has used that over this last year to remain resilient and be able to have a conversation with all of you. Again, this is live, so feel free to chime in with any questions that you have. We hope to answer them throughout this conversation. But in the process, also be sure to stay tuned to the very end as we will announce the winner to the free workshop that Mr. Joseph Green is going to provide. So I appreciate you for being here tonight and welcome.
Was that welcome to me?
That's welcome to you.
I'm assuming I don't think anyone else can respond. You can hear me clearly?
I can, yes.
Okay, how do we know if people are asking questions? Do you see something? Oh, you have your phone.
Yeah.
That's clever. Joseph, we can see your green screen. Thank you, Carol. You are a lifesaver. Yes, so we originally were on StreamYard, but then stuff, and I had like a cool screen. It was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in honor of my oldest son. This is his last night in town with us. It ends his summer retreat here with us at the Green residence, and I am flying him back to New Mexico tomorrow afternoon to do the school year with his mother. So that was my way of being present with my family while being present with this family here in the verse. So speaking of, how do you want to get this thing started, Nadine?
I want to share this video in our event. That's how I'm going to get this started. Okay.
Like you're going to play a video?
No, I just shared our live video.
Oh, that was clever for those who are, no problem. So,
cool. So I want, feel free. I want to kick it off. I want you to introduce yourself and share a little bit about who you are and a little bit of your background, your story.
Got you. Hello, folks. My name is Joseph Green. I am a father of two. I am a husband. I am a son. I am a brother. I am a friend. I am also a professional spoken word artist, creative mindfulness practitioner and facilitator. I'm an educator, curriculum designer. I am all of those things at the level that I'm able to do with them, but for by grace, and because I am a person in long-term recovery, and the work that I do on all facets intersects at a space where I feel the world is made a better place when people have access to their stories. They feel the courage to share those stories, and we create spaces that encourage us communicating with one another, which is one of many, many, many reasons why I support Rise Together so hard, because I have not only been a part of, but I have witnessed the bringing together of so many different people from so many different spaces, from so many different walks of life, giving them an opportunity to listen to the lived experience of people who have been to places that how do you put this? The lived experience of people who have lived through things that we would like for others to potentially avoid, and for those who are living through a storm, those who have lived through a storm, creating opportunities for them to share, and primarily with young people. And I think that's what's so powerful about what they do. While there's a lot of intergenerational work that is done at Rise Together, there is a focus on that next generation, not as the next generation, but as they are right now, fully formed, intelligent human beings, and trying to allow them that space to share. And so that's where my work intersects with Rise Together, because I've been doing that sort of work for 10, 15 years. And I stumbled across these amazing people about 5 years ago, and we have been all around Wisconsin, a state I never thought I would see as closely as I have seen it, and the country for that matter, as a team doing this work and sharing. So that's who I am. That's how I got here. What I will be talking about this evening in conversation with Nadine is my work as it pertains to creative mindfulness. Creative mindfulness being a way for us to deal with not only obviously the 16 months that we've all been through together, but just day-to-day things. And so we'll get into that more in a moment. Nadine has an array of brilliant questions that she is prepared to ask me. But before I do all of that, I thought I would also do a poem, because it is how I most often share and tell my story. So if that's cool with all the people chilling in the room, I'm going to do a poem called Dear Me, which is the poem that I wrote many, many years ago. But I have been revising and editing this poem because in the next month or so, I will have completed a project, a graphic novel that I've been working on with a former student, now full-fledged human being, adult out in the world doing their thing, Sydney Long, if they are listening, holla. And I've revised the poem a lot since originally writing it with the DC slam team that I was on many, many years ago. Beltway slam team, that's how long it's been. Beltway, Beltway, Beltway. Dear me, in a dream, I saw the adolescent version of myself leaning against a wall at a middle school dance, appearing nervous with our head down. He seemed wanting, if not needing of some advice. I pulled out a napkin, composed a letter, a literal self-help manual, slipped it into my own prepubescent hand, looked down and read, Dear me, dance. Though you will not be good at it into your early 20s. Bear witness to how solar systems are created within the orbits of thighs, how stars always burn out yet seem to shine on as you two-step through universe. Don't forget to breathe. If she approaches, it was meant to be. If not, Big Dipper or supernova, you will discover painfully the wonder behind dancing is like love. is not solely predicated on the idea that another will always be there to do it with you. You will often find that you are doing dancing and loving alone, but don't you dare stop. Dear me, or best friend an imaginary turtle could have, your imagination is stardust, the stuff of fantasies and fairy tales. Careful, do not get lost in the clouds or blown away by the storm of indecision. There's gravity in your dreams, forces felt but rarely seen, like purpose or faith. Allow only truth to propel you. The forest is thick, wrought with distraction and danger. Hone your instincts. Even after they've betrayed you, our wits, like the blade, are only sharpened through use. Dear me, or future phoenix rising, addiction and abuse are hidden within the strands of your DNA. For you, there is no such thing as trying drugs. You were raised having never been taught how to heal while giving in to the pain, only how to mask it or avoid it or dump it at the feet of those who loved you most. Abusing substances was never the problem, merely the wrong answer. A poisonous solution that will strip your branches bare, causing you to lose things, most of which the universe will never see fit to give you a second chance with, all of which will break your mother's heart. Dear me, a would-be knight in shining armor, warning, the people labeled broken on arrival cannot be saved, only loved and accepted as you will one day hope to be. Joseph, put down the blades. Pens are not tourniquets, paper a poor band-aid. It will be years before poetry will send word to save you. Stop it now. Your soul will heal long before those scars do. Dear four-eyed oracle, some wounds won't heal magically with mother's kiss. Won't make sense for years to come. This is just a writing exercise. If I could actually give you a life as a manuscript, the instructions would simply read, only change the parts where you hurt people. Everything else is miracle. Besides, what's the worst that could happen? You grow up to be me, a shattered but mending, sometimes unemployed, literary freestyle specialist with a vampire's thirst for the universe's lifeblood. And just know, I have loved you all along. Sincerely, Joseph LMS Green. Thank you. Ooh, the grand Yo, we went from 11 to 15. The poem brought the people in. So that was a poem. We talked about what I came here to do. Let's hey friends, new people in the chat. Nice to see you. Feel free to ask questions and be part of the conversation. We will get to the questions you put into the chat at some point before we are done in the next 20 minutes or so. So hit me with your best shot.
Awesome. So first of all, thank you. I honor your story and the poem and even the process of how you have continued to build off of it. So thank you for sharing that with all of us. I think too, something for me that was just, that really hit home, and I think it will lead into our conversation around like creative mindfulness, is like the idea of writing, right? And writing poems and writing poetry, and how you have used that to heal and to work through, you know, your past, and how to, you know, maybe not just forget about it, like you said, but how it's a piece of you, a part of you, and how you're able to now use your writing for good. And in the process, using that creativity to now share with others. And so just to kind of maybe get started, maybe we can start on the idea on what is creative mindfulness and how does that play a role in your writing and poetry today?
Right. Very well crafted question, Nadine. Creative mindfulness, to me, because it is not something that, it's like an idea that I had, and then I like Googled it, and then I realized I wasn't the only person who decided to put those two words together. So, but it's something that I like to preach to folks, because I find that we are very goal-oriented, destination-oriented society. And I remember when I first got into recovery thinking, that's it, I'm here, and then what? And I quickly realized that happiness and peace and mindfulness were practices. And that was informed by my study of Buddhism. It was informed by understanding the craft of being a writer and knowing that there was no particular pinnacle that anybody gets to, that you continue to work at your craft in the same way that I look at that poem and could, even now, just reading it, think, oh man, I could fix this, I could change that, I can move this here. Sometimes you have to walk away, but it's still a practice. And so even if I don't change anything, something has changed in me since the last time I read it. And so reading it again, even just to myself, there is something to reflect against and to allow me to see where I was, where I am, and in that moment, even to dream about where I could go based off the growth that I've seen from where I was. And so when I think of creative mindfulness, it's a practice, right? Creativity being that genius in us that allows us to look at almost anything and think of something to do with it. And so people get into mindfulness, or they go to a mindfulness class or a training, and they're like, all right, we're going to talk about meditation. And like one other thing that comes up, we'll talk about affirmations and meditation. That'll be our thing. And they go off and they meditate. Maybe even they download an app and they meditate for 2-3 months. And it feels great at the beginning. And then it becomes a little tedious. And it's like, this really can't be it. And so I think of creative mindfulness not as just doing art as mindfulness, but being artful about how you think about mindfulness and creative about the different things that you do. And so when you think of meditation, there are many ways and many things on which to meditate, and many different practices and disciplines to look at when we think about meditation. And so just like when your body plateaus through a physical workout, when your mind or your spirit plateaus through a mindfulness practice, to find, search, look for something else. And so when I teach creative mindfulness or facilitate the workshop like the one that we are giving away at the end of this thing, I go through practices, and then I have people remix my practices to come up with ways that are, you know, either culturally relevant to them or more appealing to maybe an accessibility issue or just what keeps them interested. So all of that, creative mindfulness is the intentional practice and remixing of mindfulness to suit where you are in your journey, so that quitting never becomes a real option.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you. And I think it's so powerful because when I hear the terms like creative mindfulness, like especially the term creativity, it's something that I struggled with for a long time because I felt like I wasn't necessarily a creative. I thought that for me, creativity would often relate to being like a singer or a songwriter or musician or, somebody that draws, paints, colors, like somebody like that. And I didn't realize like how, especially even early on in my own recovery, like how much my creativity played a role in different things that I enjoy doing, but I didn't even notice, like cooking, for example, right? Like I love to cook. I love making good food. And so even cooking can create a really strong experience of being like mindful in that moment, right? So I think it's cool to look at that and understand that like creativity comes in so many different ways and in different forms. And I like how you said, being able to reflect on, different moments of like the power of your story and seeking that, creativity throughout your story and like where it was, where it is today, and kind of where it's going. And I think what's really powerful is the power of story, right? And how we're able to express ourselves and find ways to speak our truth and talk about things that we have gone through or things that we have healed from, or maybe things that we're still going through, but the impact that that makes on other people. And so I guess leading into my next question, what has that looked like for you over this last year? What would you say, I guess, how have you been able to share and express yourself and also continue to stay connected in a world this last year that was often disconnected?
Yeah, again, I just want to shout out your interview skills. Like, that was a smooth transition.
Thank you.
Over these next 6 weeks, you may be finding a new calling. That was really, really good. So, I do a lot of these, and I attempt to be the interviewer sometimes. So I'm just impressed when I see people, like, they get to the point, and now that moves into my next question, and then it has nothing to do with what they just said, but you did good. Anyway, just pointing that out.
Thank you.
To answer your question, I, like many people, found myself, I think it was March 13th or so, when the announcement of schools closing came by. And at that point, I was making the bulk of my income doing poetry residencies in local schools here in DC. Like, I had, I would do conferences every once in a while, but it wasn't how I was making a living per se. And so when I got that phone call, email, text message from, 7 different schools saying, well, that's a wrap for this year, I look at my wife, who allowed me through her sacrifices to be able to start this business and do this work. And I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen. And what I think instinctually, I don't want to give myself any intellectual credit on this, just instinctually, when you have been down and have had to crawl back up and have had the time to sit back and look at that and see that it's not magical, that there's a science to it, I was able to look at my mindfulness and my mental health with the same entrepreneurial spirit that I looked at being in business for myself. And what I mean by that is, as far as my business was concerned, as you can see behind me, I was not intended for the world to see my studio in the way that it was. I had a green screen and then it stopped working. But anyway, I owned none of this before the summer of last year. With the help of a friend of mine that I've been working with for a while, I went through and I kind of caught wind of, that schools were still going to be open, and that maybe if I were able to record my workshops, I'd be able to work still in schools. And so that was a truism. It worked out great. And then I was looking at my mental health, which I think everybody's mental health was bending and breaking in some cases. And, every time you turn on the news, it's getting worse, and the lockdown is going another month, and people are going to get evicted here. And so it's just, even if it wasn't in your own life, it was in your sphere. And when I think about how creative mindfulness helped me in that space, I think that once we realize that we're worth it, right? And for me, that was unraveled through the process of recovery. Once I realized that I have value and that my life matters to other people, I then looked at my life objectively and my mental health objectively and said, what would I do if my mental health were a business that needed to be healthy, right? I would think of different ways of finding revenue, the same way that I found different ways to make a living when the pandemic happened. And so it's like, all right, meditation is not going to be really it right now, because we're all in this apartment together, and finding those quiet moments with a newborn, right? This, my youngest is 19 months now. So go back to March of last year. He's 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, a newborn. My oldest son was living with us during the summer. We're in a 4-bedroom apartment. and a 3-bedroom apartment on the second floor with everyone upstairs and people downstairs. It was not a place of solace. So what do? All right, let's go for longer walks. Let's find a book that we can read while the dog is in the dog park. Let's start writing again, right? Let's bring the writing and make it be a part of what the family does. And so me and my son would write poems together, and he would paint pictures to them because he thinks more in that way, and so on and so on and so forth. I know there's a very long answer. We don't have a whole lot of time, but you booked me, so you're going to get a lot of talking. And yeah, that's the end of that answer. We're up to 22 people, by the way. Balling.
I like that.
Let's before I let you ask the next question, because I am personally invested in Rise Together, I'm going to take this moment while we have these 24 people to say this. While I hope you do get many wonderful nuggets and wisdom out of what I am saying, I would also like to point out that this is the beginning of a fundraiser. Rise Together has been out in them streets, them Wisconsin streets, for many years doing real hard work. And I know because I've walked some of those streets with them. I've had the honor to share my story on stage with the speakers at Rise Together, and worked with the people in Wisconsin and California and Kentucky we were in. Was it Kentucky? Yeah, right. So we've gone around and we've seen what's going on in the world. And that was pre-pandemic. And through continuing to work with schools, even during the pandemic, through the internet, through Zoom, and keeping our programs going and doing a program for adults, we realized, as many of you have realized, that things got pretty bad. And we went through a collective trauma together as a society. And everybody's hurting. People are penny pinching. But if you can, please scroll on down, click the button, give what you can, share it with somebody else, and realize that what you're doing in that moment is allowing for another conversation to happen, allowing for another speaker to get in front of another group of young people so that they know that they're not alone, and for another teacher to receive the resources that they need to be the type of hero that they want to be and that they signed up to be. So I am going to take that from you, Nadine, so you don't have to do it every time. And I just want y'all to know that if you can, you should. If you don't, I understand. Thank you for being here. And I know that you have supported, if you're in this room, you've supported myself, Nadine, or Rise Together at some point in time. And for that, we appreciate you. All right.
Yeah.
That's my spiel.
Yes, and it has been an honor and a wild journey, to say the least, even for myself, starting off as a volunteer within the organization and working my way into this leadership role. It's an honor, and I am really looking forward to seeing what we can do next as we continue to move forward and continue to build off our programs, which includes a lot of the programs that Joseph, you and I have worked on together, and along with many other incredible developers, creators, partners. And in that process, we've been able to make a significant impact. And I look forward to continuing to not only, provide that.
Hi, Henry. Hey, everybody. This is my son, Henry, who is his last night in town before he bounces. Everyone wave at Henry.
Hey, Henry.
After I'm done with the live presentation that I'm doing, you sure can, but you can sit there until I'm done.
We're almost done, I promise.
Upstairs, because it makes sound. Yeah, do it in the living room until I'm done. Go ahead and close that door for me, just in case the 19-month-old wants to run downstairs.
Anthony also said, hello, Henry.
Oh, yeah. This is just like...
This is the joy of working from home.
Yeah, no, did you ever see the English dude? He was on the BBC, and like his little kids came in, and one was in like the little roller thing, and then his wife jumped in and ripped them back up, and he never turned. He just like kind of swatted them away. So I saw him do that, and I'm like, I never want to look like that guy if my kids come in the room. So no matter what you're thinking, you keep smiling because you're live. But
Yep.
yeah, it's been very interesting working at home. But I tell you this, I love being able to get off of this call with people all over the country and go kiss my baby goodnight. You
Yeah.
can't beat it. So I am not zoomed out personally, but I will be back on the road in the fall, going to many different cities and colleges for as long as I can, trying to get the word out, not only about mindfulness and recovery, but about diversity and inclusion and how all of those things intersect and matter to these spaces. I don't remember if you asked me a question before Henry came in. Did we get to that?
No, but it was leading right into a few things like what we're moving into next. I also just want to drop a reminder, anybody that has a question, we are going to be wrapping this up here pretty shortly. And so if you have anything that you want to ask Joseph or in regards to Rise Together or some of our programming or anything to that regard, please feel free to drop those questions now. But in the meantime, Joseph, so just kind of getting back to the conversation of, resilience and how you have been able to remain resilient over this last year in the face of adversity, of all the changes, all the things, whether from family to work to just life with friends and everybody, right? What would you say is one of the top things or best advice that you would be able to give someone, like something that you were able to use over this last year? Like what tools were really helpful for you that helped you to, remain resilient, to pivot, to shift, to keep moving forward?
Yeah, I would say there are two things, and I appreciate this question, and I take this question very seriously, and I get asked this question a lot. And the reason I guess why it means so much to me is because in this small answer, maybe there's something that somebody will be able to hold on to help them get through whatever they're getting through right now. So they're short answers, but I want everyone to know that I think about this a lot. I say the first thing is the value of novelty. I got to a point in my life where I was pretty sure I had learned all the new crafts or hobbies that I was going to learn, and that it was just about mastery at this point. And during the pandemic, there was a space. I was blessed to have a space, because not everyone had this space, but I was blessed to have this space where I was looking at certain things that I had wanted to do or try that I actually had the opportunity to try. And gardening, videography, both as a profession and as a pleasure, and the ability to get closer to my son and be a more attentive father. I can't express how important it is to never give up on finding things to be passionate about. And that once I realized that I didn't need to be excellent at everything that I tried, right? Like I can pick up the guitar for the joy of learning how to play the one song I've always wanted to learn how to play, and be okay not, being Jimmy Page. Like it's okay. You don't have to be the best at something. That is a value that I'm trying to release, right? I want to be in the joy for the joy of the thing. The second thing is studying the value of enough, and realizing when I've done enough work, or when I've eaten enough food, or when I've watched enough television, or when I've written enough words on the page, and it's time to say, this is no longer making me feel like it's adding to the value of my life, and that I should walk away from it. And that was something that I learned the hard way as a young man. And then I transferred that energy, as many of us do, into other things. And 70-hour work weeks will kill you just as fast as, in some cases faster than having substance use disorder. It's about, you know, what do you want out of this existence, and examining that. It's like the Marie Kondo way of like looking at the things that you have going on in your life. Like, I'm doing this thing, like, yeah, I'm the best, I'm the top guy at work, and I'm making it to the top, and now I've made this amount of money, now I made this amount of money, and we all end up in the same place. So when is it enough? And when I ask myself that question, I then start seeing other things that I wasn't able to see because I was focused so hard on this one thing. And those things bring me joy. They were already bringing me joy. And so, yeah, those two things.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing. I think too, I heard it a lot this last year from numerous, many people, just the joy of being able to slow down, and also, right, like knowing what is enough of all the things that you're doing, and then being able to just be present, right, in the moment with yourself, with your family, and just really appreciating and enjoying. And I know not everyone was able to experience that. I think there was many difficult challenges that so many people faced this last year, and we don't even have to list them because we're all well aware of them.
Yeah.
Or we should be if we're not. But at this point, I too, can relate, I'm just really grateful to just being able to spend that time, and continue to be present. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for being a part of this conversation and participating in our resilience series. Are you taking a picture of me? I'm not sure.
No, sorry. I'm reading questions. We have some questions.
You're good.
I'm going to answer the questions in short order before you announce, because they're fun questions. So I'll answer them real quick. And then we are going to announce who gets the workshop, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So here we go. Anthony, where did I get that shirt? So here's the deal. Hot Topic. Is that what it's called? Hot Topic? With all the, yes, it's a Hot Topic somewhere in the country. They have all the t-shirts on the wall. That's where I get that from. Jesse, who is my favorite superhero? Oh man, that's heavy, dude. That's super heavy. But I'm gonna have to say Miles Morales, and that is not even when I was a kid, because I had no idea, and I'm pretty sure there was no Miles Morales when I was a kid. But actually, I'm 100% sure there's no Miles Morales when I was a kid. But seeing what a young Black superhero has meant to my son, and the Spider-Verse movie, how big it has been in our family, Miles Morales is literally my superhero. And yes, Carol, it is important to tell yourself you are enough. I think that goes with that whole concept, because we keep trying to build and do more, and sometimes we just have to remember that while it is important to work on ourselves, that at no point in that process were you ever not enough. So I think most of it is just uncovering the value that has always been there. Yes. Thank you for that. All right. You had I'm going to tell y'all, she had the most beautiful setup. She had an overlay that came across that said, and the winner is. I wouldn't have been surprised if she had sound effects. But alas, we did not make this happen in StreamYard. So we'll have to announce this in a more...
we'll do a mini drum roll.
Yeah. What is the word I'm thinking? If it's not digital, it's the opposite of digital. Analog. Thank you. I don't know who I'm thinking. Thank you, brain. All right, here we go. All right. And the winner. Oh, also, yeah.
Will you explain what it is?
Oh, right. So, everyone, if you are the winner of this 90-minute creative mindfulness workshop, I will, at the leisure of my schedule, work with you personally or an organization of your choice that you can donate it to do a creative mindfulness workshop. As I said earlier in the presentation, creative mindfulness workshops that I hold, they take on many different facets depending on who the organization is, and I will meet with that organization to, make it as customizable as I can. But we will talk about what mindfulness is, the basics and the principles, and then we will talk about how we can use our own creative energy and Google to continue creating a practice that is interesting to us and that keeps us engaged in the practice of mindfulness, because it is just that, a practice. Boom. And you walk away with some skills. We'll have a good time. I'll do a poem even, probably. And yeah, that's what you win.
Awesome. All right. I'm about to pick a random name from our random drawer, and drum roll. Oh, I should share this because it looks cool. All right. And the winner is, there's the name. And Stephanie Gray.
Stephanie Gray?
Yes.
Stephanie Gray.
Stephanie Gray. So
are you?
Look at, I can literally share my screen. So
do we know if Stephanie Gray is here? Did she make it? Stephanie, shout out. But we have your email, and we understand that this is live, and we're not even in the exact place we were supposed to be. So maybe Stephanie didn't make it. What is this? Oh, you're trying to show the people that it was random.
It was random. All right.
Stephanie Gray. I can't believe that this exists. And this is the one thing that Nadine was slipping on. 2 minutes before it was time for us to go on, I was like, how are you going to pick the winner? She was like, through the randomizer that I'm going to find on the internet right now. So kudos to you, because I didn't even think it existed. So Stephanie Gray, we will find you.
Thanks, Google. Yeah, congratulations, Stephanie. I will send you a message. But again, just a shout out to everybody. Again, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you for being a part of this conversation this evening. And Stephanie, like I said, I will send you an email. Thank you, everybody else, for being on here live. If you're watching this later, also thank you. Again, we are going to be hosting this resilience series every Monday night for the next 6 weeks. Every night, no. And just continuing to share conversations with thought leaders and change makers. And this next week, I'm extremely excited because we are going to be bringing in a young person, so somebody that has participated in Rise Together programming. I'm going to officially announce who that is tomorrow. Oh, people are asking who it is. So you're gonna have to stay tuned. I will be announcing officially who this young person is. He is, oh, and now you know it's a he, but participated in,
You're as good as my 8-year-old at keeping secrets. Go ahead. We're gonna know this entire person's background by the time you're done.
I'm so bad. So stay tuned. We're announcing it tomorrow. And we will, again, like I said, be sharing more with our community within the next few weeks. So continue to stay in tune. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. You can go right to weallrisetogether.org/donate. And on there, you will also see our fundraiser that we officially launched today. So like Joseph had said, we are in the process of looking to revive Rise Together and actually looking to raise $25,000 within this fundraiser as we continue to move forward to provide free and reduced programming to youth and young people and youth workers across the state as we continue to make a difference and create a platform for young people to use their voices for change. So thank you again. weallrisetogether.org/donate. And
one last thing, I'm sorry. And for whoever's here, this may have nothing to do with you, but my aunt and my mama were watching. And if you're still watching, I just wanted to shout out Helen Green and my Aunt Burl. Thank you all for like supporting and putting up with me my whole life. I appreciate you both. All right.
Yes. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.